Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to be talking about Andrew Yang and 30 to 50 feral hogs, and how the 30 to 50 feral hog situation is an incredibly concise encapsulation of why the Democrats lost in 2016 and the incredibly high danger of losing again in 2020 if the preeminent leader that we need to be president in 2021, Andrew Yang, does not fully understand this and take the right moves to respond to the 30-50 feral hog situation. All right, so let's talk about it. All right, so 30 to 50 feral hogs, I'm sure some of you are aware of what this is. For the other portion of you, I'm going to quickly summarize what this is. All right, so this past weekend, terrible situation. El Paso and Dayton have these horrible tragedies, and people are lost in those communities, right? Terrible situation. Absolutely tragic. Whole nation is mourning, okay? All right. Twitter goes nuts, right? And Twitter starts up the same old conversation that's been happening with these with these mass shooting conversations, right? And so there's a whole bunch of people on Twitter saying this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem, and then people coming in and making responses back, and then an entirely additional group of people saying this is ludicrous. We're on the same treadmill. Every single thing that's being said here has been said before. We're all going down the same road. We're a hamster on a treadmill, right? So everybody's upset, frustrated, and Twitter is just a burning platform of exchanges going back and forth, right? Well, this like medium level musician posts something, and he says, and I'm paraphrasing here, he says, "Hey, if you're on here and you're talking about the things that the tools that were used in El Paso and Dayton, these long range, powerful tools." Right, and again, I'm paraphrasing there. He said, "You know what they are, and you know you don't need them," right? So then on Twitter, in response, on the same thread, okay, a Christian husband libertarian, self-identifying Christian husband libertarian, comes on and drops the fateful 30 to 50 feral hogs tweet. This all started from a tweet, right? And here's what that guy says. He says, "Legit question, conservatives. What do I do if 30 to 50 feral hogs run into my yard in 3 to 5 minutes and my small kids are playing there?" Right? So so there's so much to unpack here. Real quick, I just want to talk about this Christian husband libertarian. So I am not a libertarian. I am a Republican who goes over to vote for the Democrats when they have a better candidate, which right now they absolutely do. Andrew Yang's probably the best candidate I've ever seen in my lifetime. Right? So basically, I just want to explain. I'm going to explain about Christian evangelical husbands and fathers, right? Because I am one, right? So this guy, that Christian husband libertarian, that is an evangelical Christian thing, right? So a lot of, and the reason why I'm taking the time to say this, and I don't want to fill your lives with a bunch of evangelical Christian stuff without reason, but the reality is I'm convinced that evangelical Christians are the most important voting group in the coming 2020 election, because they're where Trump is most vulnerable. I've done some videos on this. All right, so here we go. All right, let me explain this Christian husband-father thing. So evangelical Christians, Christian husband-fathers, right? I'm not sure if this other guy was a father. I think he put in libertarian in that place, but it's the same, So you hear this a lot from evangelical Christian husbands and fathers. The idea, the reason why it's used a lot is it's basically this. It is used quite a bit. It's a really common saying, and the reason it's used so frequently is it is saying, I'm a Christian first. My allegiance to Christ is higher than my allegiance to my spouse, right? And so why would they say this? Well, the idea is, that Christ died on the cross, and that sacrifice for all of humanity, that is how a Christian, right, a Christian husband and father, he needs to, like, the primary interaction with the spouse from a Christian husband is that you sacrifice. It's the number one thing. Like, it puts everything else. So if our allegiance is to Christ first and we're reading the Bible, the idea is we're elevating Christ above our spouse, right? So, and people are like, what? Why would you do that? And the idea is that their lives will be better because we are under control, in obedience to God, in obedience to Christ, and that we are modeling his sacrifice by putting him above the spouse, right? Next is you take the spouse, right? Christian husband, father, right? You're saying I'm a husband next, and my relationship with my spouse is greater, elevated over my relationship with my children. Now, why would you do that, right? Shouldn't you love them equally? No, right? For Christian husband fathers, the answer is no. You love Christ first. This makes your spouse's life better. And here's the kicker. So if you're a husband and you love your spouse most over your children, right? Then basically what happens is you are showing your children, this is the most important person on this planet to me, right? And it draws them to show love and kindness to that person as well. So the idea is you elevate your spouse over your children, right? So that the children see, this is the most important person in the world. I am sacrificial to this person, and you need to give this spouse respect and kindness at all times, right? And then last, your children are last, right? But the idea is, the structure is that if you are serving your spouse by being sacrificial and obedient to Christ, if you are then and then you are elevating your spouse over those children, that they will be served because the spouse is now level, right? Feels loved, doesn't feel any fear, feels supported, right? And then their love and kindness toward the kids is the maximum it can be, right? So that's the other, and I live by this, Christian husband and father in that order, right? Christ over my spouse over my children, and everybody's lives is better, right? Like, and this is a big thing in evangelical Christian households, right? The idea that if the Christian husband father is firing on all cylinders and has his priorities correctly, everybody in the house is served. Now, I'm 100% aware not everybody's evangelical Christian. Everybody has different models for families. Some people are literally choosing their families now. I fully understand that. I'm just trying to explain to you how this Christian husband-father elevation, tiered hierarchy of love, respect, kindness, obedience, allegiance, all how it works. And the reason why is we have got to bring evangelical Christians, crack them off of Trump's followings and bring them over to Andrew Yang. And Andrew Yang has more right to every evangelical Christian vote than Trump does. And the reason why is Andrew Yang does not purport to be an evangelical Christian, but he actually literally is living evangelical Christian values much more closely than Trump. It's really important, okay? And I appreciate your patience with that. The only reason I'm talking here is this guy who did this 30-50 feral hogs post, he's in this bracket. He might not be 100% in there, but he's definitely 60 to 80% in there. It's a big thing, right? All right, so let's go forward. So 30 to 50 feral hogs. So you have this tweet drop in, right? It's incredible. The thing blows up like crazy on Twitter, right? Now, how does it blow up? Well, it's a meme river, right? The when you click on a hashtag feral hogs, which was trending, right? It was an absolute river that just flowed and flowed and flowed and flowed and flowed with super funny 30 to 50 feral hog jokes, right? And so I'll just give you a few of them. There was Oops. So I like the cereal Oops All Berries, which is the Captain Crunch cereal. And it was Oops All Feral Hogs. And right, and all the berries were replaced with feral hogs. And there's a bowl, and there's all these feral hogs in the bowl. And then like other people were posting like gifs of Princess Mononoke running with these feral hogs, right? Which is actually literally in this Disney anime movie. And it was so funny. There were so many hysterical memes that were just mercilessly mocking this Christian husband libertarian, right? And saying, what an insanely ridiculous idea that you need a powerful, long-ranged tool in order to kill feral hogs who are in your yard when your kids are in your yard? What a load of malarkey, as Biden would say. How ridiculous, how laughable, right? So the coastal elites on both sides, right? Left coast, right coast, they just go to town on this guy, just mock him mercilessly on Twitter. This is the whole ball of wax. This is the huge opportunity Andrew Yang has, right? Is to really grasp the reality of the 30 to 50 feral hogs situation and fix it, because it desperately needs to be fixed. All right, so here's the whole ball, like the 30 to 50 feral hogs. It is the absolute reason that Democrats lost in 2016, and it's absolutely got to get fixed. It is absolutely catastrophic how bad this problem is, and one of the reasons why is the 30 to 50 feral hogs is proving without a doubt that the Democrat voters and the Democrat Party have learned nothing from 2016, right? They're still doing the same thing they were in 2016 right now in 2019. Now, this is perfectly okay because Andrew Yang's in place, and he's smart enough to see 30 to 50 feral hogs for exactly what it is and to fix the problem, but I'm going to define it for you. Here's the problem. 3 words. World's ignorance, judgment, okay? All right, so first and foremost, we in America live in 2 worlds. I am a coastal elite, okay? Let's not pretend, right? I live on the right coast, and I live on the right coast. I have 2 degrees. I watch, and I listen to podcasts. I'm a knowledge worker. I pay 3 times a day $5 at Starbucks. I'm a coastal elite. Okay. Now here's the problem. Okay, and I did not. So I laughed when I saw those memes. Right. Okay. And so that's the issue. So here's the thing. I and all the other coastal elites on Twitter that were mercilessly mocking this Christian husband libertarian, right, who frankly should be an Andrew Yang voter. We're going to try to get there, right? They were not understanding that there are 2 worlds in America. There is my world, where I pay 2 to 3 times a day, $5 a piece for a cup of coffee, right? And in my world, there are no feral hogs in my backyard. None, right? I can tell you that right now, right? But in America, there are thousands of homes with families where feral hogs are a very real thing, right? Coastal elites laughing it up, but they're wrong. There's 2 worlds. There is my coastal elite world where there are no feral hogs in my backyard, and there is heartland rural America where there are feral hogs, and they actually have small children, and they actually need these powerful long-range tools in case a pack of feral hogs comes into the yard. Now, I can tell you right now what a pack of feral hogs is called. It's called a sounder. The reason I know that is a super liberal source yesterday, Slate. It was a fantastic article by Ruth Graham came out, and she said, hey, we all laughed at him, but this 30 to 50 feral hogs guy was absolutely right. Feral hogs are a very real problem in America, right? The reason why is in the 90s, a bunch of hunters brought them over and literally seeded all different, their feral hogs are found in 48 states in America. 48 states in America, right? And there are literally many traffic accidents that occur, and feral hogs are a real danger in significant portions of the nation, right? Now, everything I just said to you, that all comes from a liberal source. A liberal source. This isn't Drudge. This isn't Breitbart. This is Slate. They are dyed-in-the-wool liberal, right? And they're like, oh yeah, there really are feral hogs, right? And they really are a problem, right? And what this guy said, his numbers were off a little bit. You're not going to get, a sounder doesn't have 30 to 50 hogs. It has 5 to 20, right? But the idea that feral hogs are a laughable idea and that this doesn't have in America, that is 100% wrong, right? So there are 2 worlds, 2 worlds. We need to know this. We need to understand this. There's our, coastal elite, non-feral hog world, and there is the heartland stalwart world where feral hogs are a very real thing and they actually use real tools to deal with the problem, right? Like, and okay, I'm just going to give you a quick story, right? This happened to me 2 weeks ago. I am absolutely part of the problem here. I'm trying to identify it and trying to fix it, okay? So I went out on a Saturday, and I got on the train from the regional area, the regional suburbs of Philadelphia, took a regional rail train into the suburbs, into the city, into King Sessing, Philadelphia. It's a neighborhood of Philadelphia, right? I ride my bike around. I had never been in the city before. I was literally exploring it on my bicycle, right? And it was a different area, very different from where I was used to. I came to this railway pass, and all I could see was the railway pass, and there was a corner that went around, and I was like, oh boy, there's something. I think there's going to be something cool behind there, but also there could be something very frightening, right? Now it's the middle of the day, the sun's out, right? I shouldn't be scared, but I was scared to go under this railway passway and discover what was on the other side, right? So I got on my bike and I rode through. I kind of like, put on my big girl pants and went through, right? And so, like, basically, what I found on the other side were two gentlemen, right? These two gentlemen were I was from the suburbs of Philadelphia. These two gentlemen lived in King Sessing, Philadelphia, and they lived in a different world. When I came around that corner, there were two gentlemen standing there. They had rigs that had multiple fishing reels on them, right? On the ground in front of one of these gentlemen was an 18-inch catfish that was wriggling out of the water. He had just caught it. There was a lure in that thing's mouth, and it was out of the water, and it was just flopping around on the ground in front of him. I was like, whoa, hey, looks like, in my mind, I immediately was like, hey, that catfish needs help. It's going to die, right? It was not even in my head that this guy had fished this thing out of the Schuylkill River, right? And and at that point, he looks at me and he smiles, right? And I just laughed because I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Frankly, I was very sad for this fish because this fish was about to die, right? This guy took pliers, pulled the hook directly out of this catfish's mouth, then went over and, put into the bucket, right? Water, came back and threw the fish into the water, right? I was like, what? Holy cows, man. And I was just blown away, right? He ripped this hook right out of this catfish's mouth, right? And I was like, hey, and I didn't know what to say, right? So what I said was, hey, great job, you caught one. And I was like, I'm really surprised there are fish in that river. And this gentleman, right, standing with another gentleman, they then laughed at me and they go, of course there's fish in that river. Are you kidding? That water's 15 feet deep. There's tons of fish in there, right? And the reality is I had forgotten that there are two worlds. So two worlds, ignorance and judgment, right? I was ignorant of the fish that were in that water, and I was judging them, right? I was judging these two gentlemen, right? So I had laughter because I was laughing at them because I was ignorant, right? I was really kind of laughing not because I was trying to laugh at them, but I was just so shocked and really a little bit upset by the situation because there's an animal on the ground and it's going to die, right? Like, I've never killed an animal. I've never even witnessed an animal die. Are you kidding me? Right? But these guys, they kill like 6 fish a day, right? Like, these people knew what they were doing, right? These were not commercial fishers. These were recreational fishers, but they knew what they were doing, right? It blew my mind. I couldn't believe it, right? But the reality is I was completely ignorant of the world they live in, right? Where they routinely kill animals, right? With tools. Exactly like the feral hog situation, right? And, it was incredible. And then the other thing is I was judging them. I was like, how dare they let this animal die, right? But the reality is my judgment was completely misplaced. It was completely misplaced, right? When I got done I used a train to take me from my suburban home to King Sessing. Used a train to get back. When I got back, I put my bike on my car and drove to Smashburger. I got a $10 double cheeseburger, right? That, what the carbon footprint on all that is? It's incredibly high. That gentleman that caught that fish, he had walked from his home and he walked back. And when he got back, he ate the fish that he had caught with literally just a little bit of, chum, right? The sustainability on what he did was, he had such a lower, carbon footprint. And yet I, the registered Democrat, and that's exactly what I am right now, right, was judging him, right, for his cruelty. It's outrageous, right? So that's the issue. The feral hog situation is coastal elites forgetting there are two worlds, embracing their outrageous ignorance, right? And embracing their outrageous judgments about a group of people they don't know anything about, right? And what has happened is because coastal elites, Democrats, don't know about the two worlds of America. One where feral hogs are literally killed, right? Ones where feral hogs literally run into people's backyards. Ones where feral hogs may be in the proximity of your small children. Things that we thought were completely laughable and were just ready for memes is very, very real, right? And that our ignorance of the situation, we laugh and we're ignorant. We laugh and we judge, right? But the reality is, what has this caused? Well, one of the biggest things it's caused is it has made polls worse than useless, right? These people, right? These feral hog shooting people, right? They know that we laugh at them. They know that anybody with a clipboard in front of them, they cannot tell them who they're voting for or what they actually believe, because the ignorance that they will meet is high and the judgment they will meet is high. And so know for a fact that if Bernie is telling you that his polls say he's going to beat Trump, he is being ridiculous. Those people have learned, right? The people that vote for Trump don't tell anybody they're going to vote for Trump. They remain quiet, and then they snipe that vote at the last moment. And just like they crushed us in 2016, we're getting ready to get crushed again, right? Because the ignorance of the two worlds and the judgment that we have is outrageously dangerous to us. Now, what's our hope, right? That's a terrible situation. Andrew Yang is our hope. He is incredibly smart, and I think he keeps talking about building a coalition. He's not like the rest who are saying, I'm going to take the Democrat vote and win. You can't take the Democrat vote and win, right? You need to win 5 to 15% of Trump's voters. Andrew Yang is ready to do it, right? And I am leaving this here for Andrew Yang and his team, so they are hyper aware that the two worlds exist. They are hyper aware that they need to get rid of their ignorance, right? Andrew Yang needs to get rid of his ignorance of the fact that there are people who have a situation where feral hogs run into their backyards, right? And while we coastal elites think that's laughable, for them it is a very harsh reality, right? And Andrew Yang last needs to get rid of any remaining judgment he has, right? And reach out to these people and steal them one by one from Trump, right? The 30 to 50 feral hog situation is very serious and very real. And the lesson that Andrew Yang needs to take back is he must remove the ignorance and judgment that has pervasively saturated the Democrat voter pool, right? And it's really, really important. But that's what I think. What do you think? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Have you ever had a feral hog run into your backyard? Please let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.